From above, the oceans look empty. But below, they're teeming with life. Raw nature takes the plunge into colourful, cold and mysterious seas to reveal stories as fantastic as anything on dry land. A storm-ravaged coast. Cold waves crash relentlessly against the shoreline, stirring the surface into an unholy frenzy. It takes a resilient animal to make its home here. The sea otter. This remarkable mammal isn't just a pretty face. The kelp forest is under attack, and this otter is its unexpected savior. Without it, the seaweed and all the creatures that depend on it would perish. So how is this ball of fur holding the place together? The answer's beneath the swell. The cold Pacific waters are incredibly fertile. These towering forests of giant kelp shelter a high-rise community of animals. But one resident takes the kelp's hospitality too far. The sea urchin. They mob the plants, eating insatiably. This was once an underwater forest, but now it's a wasteland. It's remarkable how quickly these pin-cushion grazers can destroy such a vast area. If we enter their time zone, the mystery is revealed. But it's an own goal. The urchins eat themselves out of house and home. And everybody else, too. Left unchecked, these spiny vegetarians spell doom. Fortunately for the kelp, help is at hand. Sea otters eat all manner of creatures. But sea urchins are a favorite. The spiny shell doesn't deter them. They've even worked out how to use tools, smashing prey open with stones. Otters need to eat a quarter of their body weight every day just to keep warm. That's 200 burgers to us. So it's the otter's huge appetite that stops the urchins getting out of control and saves the kelp forest. The otters get more than a meal in return. They get sanctuary. The seaweed is a place for these cold water heroes to moor and get some rest. Life here is a fragile balance. If otters don't eat enough urchins, disaster quickly strikes. But whilst they keep up their end of the bargain, the balance works. That's good news for otters, good news for the kelp, and good news for everything else. Further north, and it's colder still. You'd expect life to be tougher than the Californian coast. But the ice shrouds a surprisingly hospitable world. The nutrient-rich Arctic water can be as much as 40 degrees warmer than the air above. It's the lifeblood of every creature here, including 3 ocean giants, killer whales, bowheads, and humpbacks. Each hunter has a massive stomach to fill, but they harvest food from the icy sea in very different ways. Fish are an obvious source of food, but they're far from an easy meal, giving even the most agile killers the runaround. But there is a sea monster that preys on herring in bulk, and it's hardly nimble. It's the humpback whale. It's big, as long as a bus and twice as heavy. It cruises at 5 kilometers per hour, far too slow to outpace a herring. So how do they catch these speedy shoals? The answer: humpbacks are very sociable and very smart, and use teamwork and ingenuity to catch fish. The whales use complex songs and flamboyant gestures to coordinate their plan. They begin by taking a lungful of air before diving. They locate the fish and start to herd them upwards. A feeding call scares the school into a tighter group. Then, one whale swims round the fish, making air bubbles with its blowhole as it spirals towards the surface. The circle of air hems the shoal like a net. Rising through the middle of the bubbles, the other whales lunge as the confused fish break the surface. Their throats expand enormously as they gulp the tide of prey. Once they close their mouths, a massive tongue squeezes the water out through the baleen filter, a comb-like structure which acts like a sieve. The teamwork's well worth the effort. Herring shoals contain several thousand tons of fish, food fit for giants. But not all meals in these icy waters require such ingenious pursuit. In the right conditions, the sea itself becomes a nourishing soup. Cold water mixes with currents from warmer seas, which bring a flow of nutrients to support microscopic life. In turn, this plankton supports tiny shrimp-like creatures called krill. The weight of plankton and krill in the world's oceans is greater than all the dolphins, whales and fish put together, so there's plenty to go round. When a mouth this big is chasing you, there's no escape. These are 100-ton bowhead whales. A layer of blubber over 50 centimeters thick protects their massive bodies from the icy water. It's remarkable that a bowhead grows twice as heavy as a humpback on a diet of minuscule creatures. It really is a nourishing soup. The head is almost a third of its body length. For good reason. These whales consume 2 tons of krill every day. It feeds by trawling the water with a gaping mouth. The name bowhead comes from its lower jaw. It looks like an archer's bow. Whilst the humpback gulps down its food, a bowhead snacks all day long, and its baleen plates are much finer, perfect for skimming out tiny plankton. The miniature prey become trapped between the fringes of the plates, and the surplus water is squeezed out. But what happens when the prey gets a lot bigger, faster, and smarter? Killer whales are right at the top of the ocean food chain. And what's more, they've even taken the hunt onto land. So how does a whale catch something as agile as a sea lion on its own turf? To understand, we need to appreciate just how sophisticated these creatures are. Killer whales are extremely sociable mammals, up to 30 in a family group. Clicks, whistles, and scream-like pulses help them to stay in touch. They also have a language of gestures, such as fin waving, breaching, and tail slapping. They live everywhere from the frozen north to the icy waters of the south, and their diet varies from region to region. Those in the Arctic waters specialize in fish. Those in the Antarctic have a taste for mammal meat. They prowl the waters off Patagonia, preying on sea lion pups. But some of this pod are attracted to the shallows. This young whale cruises the shoreline, picking his moment. Gulls hover in anticipation. But he's miscalculated. The older members of the pod are more practiced at this technique. Some adult sea lions actually enter the water during the attack. They're probably mothers trying desperately to distract the killers. But it's not all doom and gloom for the sea lions. They're skilled hunters in their own right. A colony of gentoo penguins shares the sea lion's beach. Although the gentoos make new nests each breeding season, They follow the same route to the sea year after year. They're poor climbers, so they choose sandy sites close to the sea. Their nests are made of sticks and stones, and they steal from their neighbors to improve their lot. Although when it comes to feeding chicks, they have to work together. The sea is a dangerous place to be, but there's safety in numbers. The birds are on the lookout for small fish and krill, making the most of the abundant life in these icy Antarctic waters. Leaping clear of the water helps gain speed and confuses predators. But sea lions aren't so easily fooled. They can porpoise too. All of the birds make it safely back to dry land, except one. So while killer whales rely on a steady supply of sea lion meat, sea lions dine out on penguins. Life in the sea is tough. Wrong place, wrong time, and your history. These Adelie penguins seem intent on being in the wrong place. They're perfectly adapted for life in the water, so why are they making a difficult journey across frozen land? Simple. It's the need to breed. Every spring, they trek huge distances across the ice sheet, heading away from their food. They may be 300 kilometers away from the open sea by the time they choose a nesting site. Young penguins have demanding appetites. Keeping them fed is exhausting work, especially when you add a lengthy return walk. But there really is a good reason for moving this far from the sea. During the summer, the ice scape changes dramatically. If you're too close to the sea, life's precarious. Do a short walk and your family will be caught up in the great melt. Go the distance, and when the chicks fledge, the sea's on their doorstep. If the parents hadn't made that epic journey, their chicks would never have survived. Cold, icy oceans may look bleak, but life here is often richer than in tropical seas because of better oxygen and nutrient levels. However, there's no doubting this warm zone for productivity. Life doesn't get much more colourful than on a coral reef. A coral reef is actually made up of millions of tiny animals called polyps. They may not look as exciting as the life that cruises past, but appearances are deceptive. On a few special nights of the year, they put on a real show. This dazzling underwater snowstorm has a serious purpose: breeding. It's triggered by a rise in sea temperature and phases of the moon. On the night of spawning, soon after sundown, the flower-like polyps begin to expand. Most species of coral are both male and female, simultaneously blasting out pink, purple and green packets of eggs and sperm, living blizzards of reproduction. The spawn forms slicks on the surface, so big and bright they're visible from outer space. This huge spectacle has a simple aim: to avoid inbreeding. It may rely on chance meetings in the open sea, but sheer numbers make the odds certain. Life on the reef may look idyllic, but it's really a minefield. Every inch is inhabited, and everyone's after a bite of sushi. Down here, simple survival is the name of the game. And you have to protect yourself in any way you can. These hermit crabs rely on shells to protect their soft bodies. This one has gone a stage further. It's using poisonous anemones as bodyguards. But when a crab outgrows its home, it's forced to go house hunting. Strong pincers check the previous owner has moved on. Vacancy assured, it tries the shell on for size. But the new home doesn't come with bouncers. and the hermit crab won't leave his trusted staff behind. Gentle stimulation to the anemone's foot encourages the animal to release its hold. You would think that the anemone would sting the crab, but it doesn't. The two animals have been living together for so many generations that the crab's immune to the stinging tentacles. The relationship works for both. The anemones camouflage and defend the crab, and the crab chauffeurs the anemones to prime feeding sites. Fully refurbished, the mobile home is ready to go. But some hermit crabs have got round the bother of moving house. This staghorn coral is not what it seems. Cunning hermits have persuaded the corals to provide them with permanent shelter. These crabs originally live in snail shells and tend gardens of coral upon them. As the coral grows, the shell underneath dissolves. The living armor grows up to 10 centimeters a year. So it's not long before it fits like a glove. Without a shelter, you need to be extra vigilant. It's hard enough looking after yourself, let alone your family. These damselfish have left their eggs horribly exposed. But with no fixed abode, the parents have little choice. Protein-rich eggs are a delicacy. Despite their best efforts to protect the nest, the excitement attracts more hungry mouths. Fish aren't fussy, and these damselfish are happy to turn cannibal for the sake of a feed. Eventually, even the parents join in, rather than lose vital food to the neighbors. Further guarding of the eggs would be futile. Wrasse show no respect for other fish's young, nor do they show parental concern for their own offspring. Rainbow wrasse move fast and travel in gangs, so individual fish are less likely to be targeted by predators. Sticking together floods the market, a trick that also comes in handy when they breed. This is called broadcast spawning, not putting all your eggs in one basket. Large numbers of males and females make a dash to the surface and release eggs and sperm before darting back to safety. They're nervous of straying too far from their coral city, even for a few moments. Not all the eggs will be fertilized, and as few as 1 in 100 will hatch into fry. So it really is just the luck of the draw. Fish aren't the only neglectful parents in the sea. A female turtle shells out over 2,000 eggs in her lifetime, none of which get any parental care at all. But while the wrasse only travel a few meters to breed, a turtle journeys over 2,000 kilometers to find a partner. They don't mate until they're teenagers. And they live a good deal longer than humans do. Over 100 years is usual. Creatures that live a long time normally have fewer offspring and look after them carefully. Turtles take the opposite approach. They are absent parents. Surely it would be better to raise 1 or 2 young out at sea. So what's the reason for traveling so far to land? It's simple. They're reptiles, not fish. Turtles and their eggs both need to breathe air. So although they spend their whole lives in the water, they must come ashore to lay. It's tough going for this female. Without the water to buoy her up, her armor is heavy and cumbersome. Once laid, the eggs are gently covered over. The loose sand still allows air to reach the eggs. Then, mother's off. Getting out of the sea was enough of an effort, and she won't risk coming back to check their progress. Now the eggs are on their own. Inside each, an embryo the size of a pinhead is ready to develop. It will be 2 months before the hatchlings are ready to emerge from their tomb, if something hasn't dug them up first. Moonlight guides them to the surf as they scurry for their lives. The number that die depends on luck. If they hatch on a night with a low tide, it's further to the sea. And if they don't make it to the water by sunrise, they'll be someone's breakfast. It's a perilous dash to what could be a very long life. Turtles hatch just once a year, so everybody wants to cash in. These are the lucky ones, but they're not out of danger yet. The baby's soft shells offer little protection. Sharks, dolphins, and groupers all take their share. Then there are the seabirds. It's no wonder that less than 1 in 1,000 make it to full size. The survivors cruise on ocean currents. They're little carnivores feeding on jellyfish, worms, and crabs, whilst trying to steer clear of other meat eaters. only turn vegetarian as adults. But plants have other uses. These are the warm waters of the Sargasso Sea. This seaweed has no anchor. It's a giant raft, a great home for baby turtles and small fish. Sargassum weed is found in the middle of the Atlantic, thousands of kilometers from the nearest landmass, where the water is more than 5 kilometers deep. It's an oasis for an intricate web of life. The brown algae is kept afloat by air bladders that look like grapes. The plant hides creatures with intriguing solutions to life on a raft. This frogfish's fins aren't for swimming, they're for crawling. Like other anglerfish, it's got onboard fishing tackle. A long, thin spine on the backs tipped with a lure. The color pattern and skin flaps blend in with the seaweed. The blotchy stripes and spots change to match the fish's surroundings. Perfect camouflage. When it spies a tasty snack, it waves its fishing rod and lures the prey into striking distance. Everything that makes its home here depends on the Sargassum weed, which in turn survives on sunlight and nutrients carried by the Gulf Stream, a warm current that flows from Mexico to Europe. Currents like this are vital for marine life in every ocean. Wherever warm and cold waters meet, you get upwellings that enrich the sea with minerals and oxygen. These magic ingredients turn a hostile sea into an oasis and attract the most unlikely animals. This penguin seems to be in the wrong place. It's certainly got surprising neighbors. Reptiles like it hot. Penguins are supposed to like it cold. Lizards can't create their own body warmth. They rely on heat from their surroundings. These marine iguanas are no exception. Without heat from the sun, they can't function. And they need a lot of strength, especially when fighting over territory. But if it's warm enough for iguanas, why isn't it too hot for the thermally insulated penguins? This is the Galapagos, and normal rules don't apply. We are 1,000 kilometers off the west coast of South America. It may be on the equator, but the waters here are icy. Why? Because a cold current from the south lowers the sea temperature by more than 10 degrees. As it mixes with the warm water, vital nutrients are brought to the surface, nourishing microscopic plants and animals that support a whole host of creatures in turn. The sea benefits the Galapagos' unique inhabitants below and above the waves. So, this is the only place in the world where you'll find lizards underwater. Iguanas prefer warmth, but they brave the cold water to graze on algae. They can remain submerged for up to an hour. Fresh water is rare on these islands, but fortunately, these lizards can drink seawater. They use a special gland in the nose to purify it, and then they sneeze. So while the iguanas are forced out of the sea to warm up, the penguins get in to cool down. The Galapagos Islands may be best known for the animals seen above the water. But without the unique blend of currents and nutrients found below the waves, some of the island's most intriguing inhabitants could never exist. Life in the ocean is a constant battle. Predators lurk around every corner, and disaster strikes when you least expect it. Survival at sea can be a lottery, but there are plenty of lifelines in raw nature.